Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have set number 75216. This is the LEGO Star Wars Snoke's Throne Room set containing 492 pieces and retailing for $69.99 in the United States. And this set contains 5 minifigures, which combined with 492 pieces is a little bit low for what I'd expect from a $70 set. And you know, it's just right off the bat looks to be a little bit overpriced, but it is a set that I did really want to get, and I managed to get this for I believe like $48, I think it was total, sealed, which was pretty good. Maybe, I don't know if that's right. I hope it was right. But this is a set that released in the summer 2018 wave. You know, a little bit after the movie released, because it is, I guess, a little bit spoilery, but yeah, it's got all the figures on the top. I introduced those new Praetorian guards, which did in the January 2019, or it was either that or like fall. It was 6 months after the set released, about like the next wave after. They released those again in a battle pack, which I do also have, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, here's the back of the box showing off some of the features. Do have one instruction booklet, which is perfect bound and does have an ad in the back for all the summer sets from that wave. So it was released alongside a couple solo wave 2 sets and an X-Wing Sandcrawler. There's all the minifigures from the sets as well. The finished build here of the set isn't tiny, but it's not as big as I would expect from a $70 set either. So, you know, I mean, I guess it is pretty much along the lines of what I would expect from a 500-piece set. So, I don't know, right off the bat, the value still doesn't seem too excellent, but I do think that what you get here is pretty good looking. You know, it would have been nice to get some sort of representation of the red curtains that go all the way around, and maybe if they had somehow been able to throw that in, it would have made the set feel a little bit bigger and a little bit more worth the price tag. But let's just, you know, forget about the price for a minute and just take a look at the actual details that we get here. So we do have this area in the back, which this throne is removable, so you're able to see this better, and for other reasons that we'll look at in a minute. But I like the way that the stickers look in this area. They're a little bit of a pain to apply, but they look pretty good, and especially these two in there. I think that elevator is pretty nice, and the stickers next to it, though this area does rely a lot on stickers, which could be a bad thing, you know, if you're not a huge sticker fan and prefer to rely on brick build details. There is a walkway coming up through here, which is mostly tiled, so you can't really stick figures on it, but you can make them kind of stand there, and you know, you just won't be able to move the whole set with them standing there. You can fit a single figure inside of this elevator, which doesn't actually elevate in the set, but it does allow you to turn this around and make it look like they're not there, and then all of a sudden they will appear, which is effective. It would have been better if you could have fit both Rey and Kylo in there, but, you know, it's fine the way it is for the size of the playset, I think, and the way that's activated is just, you know, by simply turning this gear up here. And, you know, the way that this is all built up is a little bit more interesting than you'd expect. From the back, it looks completely plain and boring. And this is not really the camera-friendly angle of the set, even though, you know, it's a little bit weird that there's, like, 2 things that you want to be able to see here, which are Snoke's throne and this area here. You know, I guess it is nice that they do allow you to turn Snoke's throne around if you want to be able to see both at the same time, even though that's not super accurate. And yes, there is a hinged, ratcheted joint in there, and that allows you to pull this off and make it sort of look like a flying space chair, which normally I'd say that's completely inaccurate and not, you know, it doesn't make sense here, but, you know, it literally did not take them any extra pieces to do it. Like, they would have had to put something in there in order to make it fit regardless, right? And, you know, you might as well make it removable so you're able to see that. And if you do both of those, then I guess you're going to have a removable chair anyway, so might as well put these 4 studs down there to make it look sort of like thrusters, because, you know, maybe some kids will find this kind of fun, which is fair. I think that that makes sense. You know, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, and you do even get some good detail on the back of the throne as well. It looks pretty good. Without him in there, it looks pretty good as well. Like, I really have no complaints about this throne. Yeah, Snoke fits fine. It would have been nice if there was some sort of feature to allow you to, I guess, minor spoiler alert, kill Snoke. You know, I guess that would have been a cool feature, but, you know, you can just do this, and, you know, that will work just as well, I guess. Maybe if there was a place to hold, like, I mean, the only other way that they could have sort of brought that in there was by putting a place to hold the lightsaber handle next to him, but I don't really have any complaints at all with that. You do have some stickers here around the throne, which there are 3 different stickers there. One here, and then 2 that are the same on these 2 platforms. And, you know, those look pretty good. We do have over here the Oculus, which is kind of a cool thing. It's got a sticker, which looks pretty good, and you're able to just stick that in front. And yeah, overall, I mean, this build is pretty relatively simple, but I think that it looks pretty effective. And these things here, I don't know what they're supposed to be really, but they're there in the movie, so, you know, they're things, and, you know, they look appropriate in terms of level of detail. They're a little bit small, obviously. This whole thing is scaled down a bit, but I don't really have a problem with that. These pillars here do add some good visual weight to this. They don't really do too much. Like, the only thing that both of them do is have a little sticker control panel thing, which looks okay, and they offer a little bit of storage space in here. This one here gives you the handcuffs that you can put on Rey for, you know, Kylo Ren to bring her to Snoke. And there's a random chalice in here in silver, which, sure, I mean, I guess. And on the other side, we just have a spare Praetorian Guard weapon if you wanted to make one of these guys one of the chain ones. Because the chain ones were, I think, a little bit more memorable. And the sticker on this side is exactly the same. And those do close up fine. I guess that's a decent use of this amount of space. But, you know, the actual pillars don't really do anything aside from give you some visual weight. Maybe, I mean, I guess this wouldn't have been a really good use of parts, but you could have made it so they could, like, topple over or something. I know that didn't happen in the movie, but, you know, could have given you just a little bit extra to do. Now, as far as actual battle features, there are several things that you can do with this set, and, you know, a couple of them are pretty simple. Well, I mean, I guess all of them are relatively simple, but they do all work pretty well together. The first thing you can really do with this set, as far as reenacting the battle, is pull Rey forward like that, using the Force, which is kind of cool. It creates a little bit of a gap there, and they could have, you know, put a tile underneath. Like, they could have built this a little bit differently so that there would at least be a tile, albeit, you know, down underneath the floor level, but it wouldn't create a full gap. Though I guess if you wanted to see that as one of the little pits that the Praetorian guards can fall down, which, yes, I'm aware that it really should be, like, over here, around this thing. But you could make that, like, one of the pits that the Praetorian guards fall down and kind of get zapped. But, you know, it's not really in the right place, though I do think that, I guess, that sort of makes sense. And you can sort of spot this feature as there are little tiny gaps created around there that kind of, you know, do get filled in when you pull this forward, but by default you can sort of see that something's a little bit off there, though I do think that that is not super noticeable, and I think that overall this feature is a pretty good one, and, you know, force pull makes sense. The other real action feature here for during the battle is, you know, once you are fighting the Praetorian guards, obviously you need a lightsaber for that, but once you're fighting them, you can end up launching one of them like that. It's very, very, very simple. Just uses one of those Technic 1x2 plates with the Technic hole on the bottom, and all you do is just flip that up and down, and, you know, this can move this end can move down, I think 1 plate, maybe 2 plates, and you are able to get enough force there to actually launch a figure pretty significantly. If you do it back there where it's attached by only one stud, it works really well. And basically, depending on where you put this figure, you can get varying amounts of launch factor, and yeah, that's pretty cool. They could have replicated that over here, so you could have done it twice, but they don't. So, I guess there's a little bit less space over here too with the Oculus, so just less figure standing space, so it makes more sense to do it over here. But they probably could have put it in both. But the one other thing that I kind of really have to say about the playability here is that there's kind of not that much space to actually have your figures battle in here. Like, yes, you can do it, but it would have been nice to have a little bit more space. Like, these things kind of take up a little bit too much of the floor, but you can sort of get it looking pretty reasonably respectable. Yeah, that's kind of like the best you can do. But if you got the battle pack and wanted to throw them all in here, you really would be limited on space. And to start off the figure selection, we have these really good versions of Kylo Ren and Rey. And, both of these figures, I think, look really appropriate to what they're supposed to look like in this scene. Neither of them are exclusive, but I don't think that that's a problem, because there's really nothing that you could have done to make them. Maybe a little bit of an angrier face for Rey would have been nice, but that's really the only improvement you could make with these characters. Rey only appears in this set and the AT-M6 Heavy Assault Walker one. It was $160. This is the cheaper way to get this Rey, and this hairpiece is only available in those two sets. So, if you wanted that hairpiece, for any sort of similar, even looking version of Rey, then you're really gonna have to get this set or the big one. This one maybe still a little bit overpriced, but I don't think that that's too big of a deal. Torso and legs look really good on her, and Kylo Ren appears in 5 sets with this torso and legs. This is one of the only 2 sets that he appears without a cape, but he's not supposed to have a cape in this scene. So again, even excluding that part is kind of good attention to detail, I guess. And obviously 2 of the sets are from the Rise of Skywalker and have the different helmet instead of this, but still, it's really good figure, and I like the level of detail on the torso and legs for this guy. I think that looks really good, and his face print too is pretty appropriate. And yeah, I like both expressions for Kylo Ren. Again, Rey, I maybe would have liked a little bit of an angry expression, but otherwise, no real complaints with either of these figures. And Kylo Ren does get his cool lightsaber with the cross hilt saber. Obviously not completely accurate, as these should come out down underneath the handle, but for Lego and something of this scale, unless they wanted to do a special custom dual molded part that you can't really take apart, then I don't see a better way that they could have accomplished that. So I don't have much of a problem with this. I guess maybe they could dual mold the blade, but that would be a little bit interesting too. I don't know, maybe they'll come up with some better way to do it in the future, but for now I think that this is good. Snoke here is actually the simplest figure in this set. He does only appear in this set and the First Order Star Destroyer from The Last Jedi, which was another big expensive set. So, it's a definitely cheaper way to get him. He's pretty simple. He looks pretty good, I guess. The gold is a little bit, it feels a little bit off color-wise, but it is right. It's just like Lego's gold doesn't exactly match the gold used in the movie, and this is sort of from the period of time where they were transitioning between golds. You have this pearl gold on that arm, and then this noticeably different pearl gold, the older one, on the other arm. So, little weird stuff like that, but overall I think this is a pretty good figure, and I do like the metallic gold on pearl gold printing. So, looks pretty good, and his head print is pretty nice with a little bit of back print on there as well with some scarring and stuff. So, good figure, not the rarest figure in the set. I guess maybe he sort of is the rarest figure in the set, actually, never mind. But, not the, most detailed or anything, but he's a pretty good version of the character. Maybe it would have been nice to make him a little bit bigger, but, again, I don't really have a problem with this figure. And the last 2 figures were easily the most anticipated figures of the set when it was first, revealed. But now they're a little bit less interesting to me. Still cool, and they are both exclusive to this set, still, which is cool. but you know, they're a little bit worse than I would have liked them to be. They do have this really cool new helmet mold, which has that really cool ridging effect on the front. Very small, subtle, tiny detail, but it looks really good. And yeah, the molding around the back is pretty awesome as well. But they do just have plain red heads underneath. I like the shoulder pad element, which was specially molded for them, has been reused in the Praetorian Guard Battle Pack. The front and back torso printing is really good, and they do have the new dress slope piece, which was that introduced with this set? It was introduced around this time, so it was relatively new if it wasn't introduced here. And, you know, that does look cool, but it really only works for completely static ones. They did, with the Praetorian Guard Battle Pack, introduce, first of all, a second helmet for them, so there are 2 variants now. They still have to mold the third one, because there are 3 different types of helmets that they have in the movie. But they also got the legs, which allowed them to just, you know, you could pose them much more dynamically and, you know, actually make them battle, and I think that would have worked a little bit better for this set. It would have been harder to get the popping the grand action feature to work, you know, because there's a larger surface area at the bottom here. It's easier to knock them out, but you know, it would have allowed for more dynamic action poses, I think. The weapons for both of them are pretty good. I guess I gotta move this one so that you can actually see it, but it is a large staff with the machete at the end. And then we got this one over here, and you can also swap it out with the chain one that's, you know, stored. But yeah, both these figures are pretty good and still exclusive and still cool, but you know, it would have been nice to get, you know, that third type of helmet in this set maybe, or even just have legs with a little bit of a fabric component to make it still look like robes, but actually work a little bit better. I don't know. I don't hate these. I think they're really cool looking, but you know, I think there are things that could have been done a little bit better on them. So they're a slightly disappointing exclusive figure. Overall, I do think that this is a cool Star Wars set. I think that recreating this scene is something that had to happen, and I'm pretty happy with the way that it turned out. There are some things that could have been done better, and I do think that the price should have been a bit lower. But if you were able to get this discounted, like I was, then I think that it is a pretty solid set. The Praetorian Guards, you know, again, some minor complaints about those figures, but, you know, for the most part, I think that this is a pretty solid set. And just as a fan of The Last Jedi, this is something that I did really want to have. Maybe they'll do it again in the future, a little bit better, but, you know, for what this is, I think that it is a really pretty solid set. You know, only things really missing would have been, you know, some sort of suggestion of a red curtain, or, you know, maybe slightly more posable Praetorian Guard figures, because, you know, they are pretty their fighting style is a little bit more, you know, dynamic than just standing with a 2x2 square of studs on the ground at all times. So, you know, those are still kind of just minor complaints though, and I do, as a whole, like this set. Again, at $70, maybe wouldn't recommend it, but, you know, any cheaper, and I think it would have been a pretty, like, I'd say probably like 20% off of that, which is $56. I think that that's a reasonably fair price for what this is. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this little review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know if you guys ended up getting the set, and if you did, do you like it? You know, I know there are probably a lot of people who didn't really care for The Last Jedi at all, and, you know, don't have any interest in this set as a result, but, you know, I think outside of that, and, you know, with my own personal opinion on The Last Jedi, I do think that this is a pretty good set. So, hope you guys enjoyed this review. See you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.